Yes, sir, and I think we have an email question already, if you'll put that up on the screen. I went to the ER last night and had some kidney stones removed. During laser surgery, my spleen was nicked. Doctor never went back to see why I was in such pain after the surgery. They kept me for 2 days until my blood pressure dropped dangerously low. I was life-flighted to another hospital, and the new doctor saw that I had internal bleeding. Spleen was removed, and I was in a coma for 19 days. Do I have a case? And that's from Desiree. Brian, what do you think about that in the medical malpractice arena?
Number one, that would terrify me if something like that happened. But the basics on medical malpractice is if a doctor does something wrong and injures you, the starting point is you have a case. But with medical malpractice, there's a lot of hoops you got to go through. You actually got to get an expert or another doctor to review the case and confirm that there actually was malpractice, and then put the other parties on notice. At that point in time, they do have a time frame to respond.
Right.
And one or two things happens. They either agree that, hey, we messed up, we'll go ahead and negotiate the claim, or they say, you know what, we did not mess up at all. And then at that point, there is the potential for a lawsuit being filed. But in that scenario, number one, talk to a lawyer immediately. Because in most medical negligence cases, one of two things happens. Either it's a known side effect and it's unfortunate. Sometimes in surgeries, people don't make it.
Right.
But in this situation, it sounds like the doctor actually messed up. And at that point in time, you go through the process, make your treatment and recover, and then you need to contact a lawyer to actually pursue your claim.
And let me emphasize what Brian said there about the need for a lawyer. Like he said, you have to actually have someone in that same specialty as the doctor that committed the malpractice in order to establish that the standard of care was breached and that therefore you have a valid claim. Without that affidavit, you don't get to even start, you don't pass go, you don't collect $200. So it's important to have somebody assist you with that process and make sure that you get on the right path from the get-go, because it's very easy to get deviated and not going down the process so that you can't get to the finish line. And they can be very expensive to prosecute because of the need for other experts, and depending on the nature of the claim, you may need multiple experts. You may need, for example, an ER doctor in this case. You may also need the specialist that was doing the particular procedure, because not only do you have the fact that there was a nick, which could potentially be a known complication, but you have the fact that you allowed it to sit and fester and potentially result in a worse outcome than you would have had otherwise. So definitely, Desiree, please follow up with our law firm or somebody like us to make sure that you have that claim properly preserved and protected so that you can pursue it.
And a really big thing, Ted, that you hit on to preserve claims is a lot of times people don't want to get a lawyer involved right away. But we had recently, last week, I had a phone call from something that happened in 2017, and a client still had a bill outstanding from a hospital. And at that point in time, there was nothing we were able to do. So if you have a legal question, even if it's not an injury question, same thing with if you have a medical issue, it's way better to get involved with a lawyer or a professional sooner rather than later, because if you wait too long, sometimes the time frame to actually pursue something is gone.
Right. Very good, Brian.